Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Follow the Brand TV Live. And tonight, we're going to have a special guest. We're going to talk about stories. We're going to talk about healthcare delivery. We're going to talk about things that are important to individuals, as us, as people, as we traverse this world. We often are born in a hospital, and often we will have our last days in a hospital, in the healthcare delivery system. And I want you to have an opportunity to talk to someone who's very well versed in the healthcare system, who has her own personal story. We're going to hear a lot about her personal brand, what has influenced her to become the person that she is. She is I would say a well-known keynote speaker internationally. She's very, very, very versed in healthcare policies, and she's going to give us a better understanding of the healthcare system and a better understanding of herself as we go through our show tonight. So with that said, I'm going to show you a clip, give you a better understanding of who she is, and then we'll get her introduced. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Gail Zahtz.
We're very happy to have Gail up here, so come on up here, Gail.
Gail, do you want to lead us off?
We're going forward this year.
How could you be an entrepreneur if you're not risking?
The arc of 10 years and her advocacy and her growth.
Top 100 in healthcare information technology, top 100 international influencer in health.
She's a champion against all odds.
Everybody's experience is what impacts their ability to have a joyful and successful life.
We're literally triaging it through technology and film.
Beauty and function don't have to conflict.
Her emerging role incorporates her decades of experience in the launch of organizational systems, technologies, and evidence-based solutions.
Do you mean I have cancer?
5.5 years ago, I was getting sicker and sicker, and they couldn't figure out why.
Single mom, 4 kids, and they wanted me to write letters and say goodbye.
So I was blind. I was legally blind. I was in an electric wheelchair. I could not eat for 2 years. I had no immune system.
On that very first day. And I said, here's the deal, I'm in healthcare. And I'm not going to Google it, and I'm not going to call my colleagues for a second opinion, and I'm actually going to do whatever you tell me to do, but you need to know that I'm in this to survive.
I suited up, put on my superhero suit, and I felt like the enemy was the cancer, and that the battle was me going through whatever it was, whether it was the chemotherapy, the radiation, the many surgeries that failed.
Because I stepped into my power at a time when I had no power. It doesn't have to be this hard.
Triple aim is to reduce cost, increase outcomes, and increase the patient experience.
Reach the patient however they want to be reached at the time and fashion that they want to be reached.
6 months later, I started walking again. I started creating a new life at 2 years of recovery. And I said,
show up, do the next right thing, find joy, dance often, and love fiercely.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Gail Zahtz.
Thank you, Grant. I'm so excited to be here. This is so great, and I love that you're focusing this on storytelling, right? That's like so essential. And what is our story? And what are our different stories? And what do we choose not to? I was saying, people ask me a lot about trauma, right? Because obviously we've had a bit of trauma, and I say, we don't have to be all of our trauma. That doesn't have to be all of our story. And just because we share parts doesn't mean that we have to share it all, right? That we can choose our stories, because our story is our constant journey, right?
Yeah.
Who we're becoming. Yeah. If I stop becoming, I don't want to be, right? This is what makes it interesting. So anyway, I'm just really excited. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. First of all, your reel that we just saw.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are just like, wow, okay, she has a journey. She has a story. She had a fight, a battle, a real battle. And the first question I wanted to ask you is that what propelled you to learn more about the healthcare system, or were you already deeply entrenched in healthcare itself?
So it's so interesting, because I was in healthcare all along as part of what I did. And so much so that I had over 50 surgeries, and so much drugs that I was just spent. I was so involved in looking at healthcare that the whole time I was working on my own survival, I was looking and I was saying, this is good patient communication, or this is something that we should work on. And I stopped having anesthesia during inpatient, like on the bed.
Yeah.
And I started talking. So I would just talk about what I thought about, what we could do better and what we're doing well. The third time this happened, I look up and there's 15 physicians in the room. I said, this is not an interesting procedure. Why is everybody here? And they said, we hear you give talks. So I talked for an hour on fall prevention. I was open. I was closed. I'm still there on the bed, and they're asking me questions. And it was funny, right? When I came back, people were like, you came back to healthcare, right? Like after, and I said, it was really, I believe a lot in purpose and our ability to get through things based on having a purpose. And mine was, of course, my children. I have 4 children, single mom, very I couldn't imagine that their life would be better if I just gave up. But it was also because I found purpose while I was going through it. There's 2 chairs in every patient office, right? In the doctor's office, one for the patient and one for the caregiver. And because I went through this journey alone, that chair was always empty. And I kept looking at that chair, right? They'd be like, you have cancer. Well, that was a scheduler who told me that. But, or you need this 10-hour surgery. And I'm looking at that chair, and I just kept thinking, it doesn't have to be this hard, right? I'm going to get through this, because then somebody else won't have to be alone on the journey.
I tell you, you just said something that touched me.
Yeah.
That first of all, you said you were alone, but then you said the scheduler told you you had cancer.
Yeah. So I was sick. I was sick before. I was getting sicker and sicker. I was losing my abilities. I couldn't walk. I was in an electric wheelchair, right? I'm in the hospital. They want to send me to warehouse and not take any treatments. And they didn't know what's wrong with me. I refused. I did a sit-in for 5 days. I then went, they brought in a wheelchair with security. They brought a psychiatrist to talk to me for an hour for me to accept my situation and write letters to my children. And I said, no, I did a sit-in, right? And I sat there until somebody from bed utilization said, get her out of here. And so my big win was the basement of a skilled nursing facility. For anybody who knows healthcare, it was a 1-star, which basically means it's the worst of the, mold coming down from the ceiling, warehouse, strip searches of my beds, just crazy, like jail, healthcare jail. And I'm like, what could it be? And a few years prior, I had said to my primary care doctor, I said, what about a mammogram? And he's like, oh no, you're way too young for that. And so we didn't do a mammogram, right? So I'm thinking what could it be? What could it be? And anyway, I went in, they ended up agreeing with me. They found something. They did a biopsy and they sent me back to the nursing home. And I get a call from scheduling. We got you in with the next available oncologist. I said, oncologist? You mean I have cancer?
Yeah.
They said, why, yes. Aggressively metastasized ductal carcinoma. Didn't anybody tell you?
Oh, that is not the way to find something like that.
That is not the way, right?
No. So I mean, that's very personal experience.
Yeah.
Very personal experience. And and I know you're not alone. There's people all across this country that are going through life-threatening diseases, and sometimes what feels like a healthcare system that is not empathetic.
You know, and what's interesting is that you said a healthcare system being empathetic, right? Because we know that we feel that our physicians and our nurses and our providers are generally have empathy and caring. And we have sort of like this system, this business system, right? And I'm in the business of healthcare. Yeah, so in addition to all of the advocacy work I do and all of that, like my day-to-day is the business of healthcare. And the truth is they don't resemble each other whatsoever. You know, I know, I mean, the business is a business and it's so unconnected. It's so unconnected from the patient journey. If we flip the finances and focus on the true north being the patient journey, then we'll have the kind of empathy that you're looking for, right? Because something I've been thinking about is that we go and we look possibly for healthcare to fix the human condition, right? There's suffering, there's pain, there's homelessness, there's all kinds of difficulties, right, that healthcare cannot fix. But then both sides kind of give up. And they say, well, if I can't fix the fact that it's pain, then I'm not going to even work to make it less painful for you. What can we do? You know, we can keep you at home. We can keep you from having to go to an acute facility. We can have food delivered to you. We can do many, many things that enable you to walk on that journey, right? But instead, we end up with this big disconnect. And I'm trying to find my way on this, you know, which is like finding my voice. And what is my voice? And what do I have to say that matters? I can't fix anything. You know, I can tell you that, I mean, I come from domestic violence. I come from homelessness. I come from the basement of a skilled nursing facility. So I've come from a lot of places, right? And I certainly have a lot from my own journey to share with that. But I feel like we work on our stories together and they keep evolving. You know, and I'm looking for that place of where can I have the most impact with my voice? And I think that it's somewhere in between, to your question, somewhere between the business and the journey. I think that what I may have to offer is that I've been on both sides and that there's strong stories to tell. Maybe. I don't know.
No, I think you're on to something, because I think at heart, everyone wants to be able to help someone in need. If you are capable of helping, you try to do something. You're talking a lot about what I heard in you just stated, social determinants of health. You know, if you're experiencing homelessness, you're experiencing, you know, the inability to pay for care, if you're having a life, you know, a challenging disease, you're experiencing, you know, you're at your weakest points. You're at your weakest. You know, you're very, very vulnerable. And then you're operating in, and most people don't realize this, but healthcare is a business. It's a business. It's a business. Not to say that's in the business of always being for profit, but it is a business, and resources are thin. And then when it comes to the fringes, you're out on the fringes. Is like, you know, we're not a social help program. We're not these things. You need these things, but we're not only, and then we're disconnected from probably the things that you probably could benefit from. But will we take the next step to bring it in? We're starting to hear more about it, value-based care. We're starting to see social determinants. Okay, there's something, you know, who's responsible for this and how can we get it done? I mean, right now we're framing the problem in the form of a story. It's your story. Tell me how.
But can I drill into one thing you just said, and then I'll sorry to interrupt. But you know, you said if we have the ability to help others, right? And there's this sense that there's the givers and the takers. And I feel like we take dignity away from people when we don't enable them to help. I remember I was homeless after I left domestic violence, and I ended up homeless with 4 children under the age of 9. And I had no experience. Like, I had not experienced poverty before. I had not understood, like, you go to a different soup kitchen every day so that you know, like, where to get and where to food. And then, like, this is where you can get gas to get from one soup kitchen to another. I mean, there's really, like, I was ill prepared for abject poverty. And I remember standing outside of a Salvation Army, and there was a group of people who also did not have a home, but had been kind of in that system longer. And they came out and they saw I was struggling, and they helped me. Right? They talked to me. They talked to me about, like, the best ways to get food for the kids and the places to go for shelter. And that just, I haven't thought of that in years, but it stuck out in my mind, which is that I would flip that notion and say, we can empower ourselves and empower others when we all help each other, right? When we find those moments of kindness to be more than our situation.
Well said.
Right?
Well said. Yeah. So we gotta you can't stop there. This is a great story. You got us
you
there,
were talking.
Man.
I interrupted you.
You got us there. I gotta like you gotta do, like, you're in this situation.
Which part do you want me to go down?
You're in the struggle. Like, well, what happened? Like, you gotta keep going.
wherever you want me to go. I mean,
no, man. Look, you've told us. We understand you've had cancer. That's a story. Now you told us you're victim of domestic violence, and then you ended up.
That's a story. Made the cover of the Baltimore Sun. It's a story.
But here you are now. And I think what I heard was that you found your power. You found that inner power, and you weren't going to let these outer conditions beat you. Help us understand that.
Right. So, there's this like, for real, we don't take anything with us when we die, right? We leave a legacy, and our legacy is really, really, really in the people that we touch, right? And the power, the strength, the courage is often in very private moments. And being, I was well educated. I graduated summa cum laude from college. I paid for it myself. I was, all of I was working on Capitol Hill right out of college. I produced for 2020. Like, I'm mentioning this because there was all these banner things. Like, wow, she's like exterior super successful, Yeah. And yet I am sure now that the moments when I have been the most courageous and been the most best version of myself is often when nobody was looking, when I did something that there's no glamour for. I mean, imagine I'm like lugging 4 kids under the age of 9 from like motel to motel to car after I had just had 3 back surgeries that year, right? And like, so you can I couldn't even figure out how to lift the kids, and this was years ago. I mean, my youngest is 16 now, and she was a baby then. And I really thought, I'm going to get through this because then I'm going to live my life. Then I'm going to live my best life, And then maybe I did that at some point in between. And then I had the cancer, and I'm in the nursing home, and I'm dying. Everybody said I was dying. And I was alone, and it was so awful. And I said, I'm going to get through this and be the best version of myself. I'm going to do all of these things. And then at some point very recently, and maybe this is maturity, I don't know what this is, but I said, I am being the best version of myself today and each day in the moments that matter. Right? We forget about the moments that matter. Was I kind? Did I say thank you? Did I show up? Did I push myself for 2 more hours to finish that memo when I was just exhausted? And then after I did it, did I make my kids a meal and ask them how their day was? And I think that when we focus on the moments that matter, I have this sort of people ask me all the time, how did I get through? right? Because my whole story of life has been like one thing after another of these like crazy, right? And so I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. So, and the first thing, 99% of it is showing up. It sounds so simple, but if you think about it, like, I don't want to go to one more meeting. I don't want to make one more call. I don't want to like sit there in like another parent teacher conference. I mean, just whatever it is, you got to show up and then do the next right thing, right? The very next thing. I'm not talking like in 5 minutes. I'm not talking in 5 weeks. I'm not talking a 5-year pro forma. I'm saying this second, you usually know the right thing to do for your, right? And find joy and dance often and love fiercely, right? These are, none of these are like best business tips to like close the best deal, you know? Because I just think that when you show up and attempt to give the best version of yourself at that moment in a really compassionate, loving way, like, I'm here with you, Grant. Like, that's what, right? We're here together. This is all that matters, you know, at this moment. And so I want to give you the best of me. And then you become a better version of yourself. And so I think that that's what it is, right? It's in the moments that matter, and making those moments the best.
I've talked to certain people. My brother went through 3 challenges of near-death experiences, right? And you have those critical moments that nobody was around. That this is not for the audience, but you have to dig down deep because something is trying to take you out. Something is trying to bury you, and has no sympathy for you at all. And all you have is yourself and your faith and whoever's around you to help you take that next step. And in those moments, I think you find that golden truth, a power that is freeing, and that, like, no matter what it is in life, I can get myself through it. I can get myself through it if I take the step, if I do the work, if I believe that it can happen. You have exuded that, you've exceeded that, and I applaud you, because our population right now, we're going through things, right? Everybody, oh my God, COVID, that's terrible. But you got through it. You're not one of the ones that are not with us, right? Oh my God, inflation. Like, yeah, but hopefully, you still got a way you ate today. You have certain resources at your disposal. Some people, don't even have that. So you find that those things in your life, and I call it gratitude. Some real gratitude, because we live in a very fragile environment, really fragile world.
Yes.
And finding those appreciations can help you even in your darkest moments. I think you exude that. Now I got to ask you this: how did you get into motivational or motivational speaking, keynote speaking? What led you to that journey?
So I just want to say one thing from what you were just saying, because it was so good, which is that what matters is our effort and what we do, not the outcome.
Yeah.
We're so focused on a society, like, I can't manage the outcome. It's based on 20 different other things that have nothing to do with me, right? But what I can manage is how I show up in the moment. And I just think that people are so focused on the outcome as if that's the jig, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna like get this, like, especially in business, right? I'm gonna like reach this milestone. I'm like, maybe you will, maybe you won't. But like, who are you doing the effort at this moment? So, and the other thing I just want to say from what you were just saying is that I am a person of faith, and I don't talk about it in business unless it's brought up. You just did. Yeah. But for me, it is interwoven into everything that I do, to your point. How'd I get into it? So it was interesting. I've sort of had this dual career track my entire career, where I've had the business, health, marketing, entrepreneurship. I started 2 companies already in my 20s. Right? Like the whole business side. And this, to your point, maybe it's called storytelling. Like I've always kind of called it media. And I walked this line. In fact, there was this moment when my first was just a baby. I was offered, after getting a couple of exclusives for ABC World News, I was offered in my early 20s, an on-air full-time job, which would be a dream for most. I mean, it was, and I didn't take it because it would have meant that I would have been traveling 5 days a week, and I had my first baby and I wanted children so much. I made that decision that I don't regret ever. Like, it was absolutely the right decision for me. But the point being, I kind of like I was on both of these paths. And one other thing with that, so I had Working Weekly. It was a publishing company that I owned in my late 20s, early 30s. And Min's Media Report, I don't know if you know it, they did like this commentary on me. And they said, you know, she should just forget all the employees and the fancy offices and give people her homespun wisdom, you know, because I had 1 million subscribers to my weekly column in 1999. And when I didn't even know what that was worth, you know. So I just kind of like walked both, and I just kept getting pulled back into the business side, right? It's kind of sexy and interesting, and I'm still in it. And I'm going to tell you a story I haven't told anybody. Some of these stories I haven't told anybody before. So,
well, hold on. Before you start, I can tell this story is going to be good.
I don't know.
I'll go to commercial break. Give us 5 minutes, and when we come back, we're going to start on that note.
Okay.
I feel this is coming, and this audience, I'm going to keep you in a little suspense. You're going to come back. So
we're going to come
go
back.
To break, and then we're going to come right back, and we're going to hear the rest of that story.
Okay.
Thank you.
constantly hungry, not necessarily for success, because my life purpose is to be significant, is to contribute. It's to contribute in a way, because whenever we have knowledge, the goal is not to withhold information. The goal is to share, to empower, and to educate other people. And so for me, I am very, very driven because my philosophy, I have many, but the one philosophy that I always quote is, my goal is to create a life that I never want to escape from. So my drive, kind of feeds off of this desire to never really operate from a place of mediocrity.
All right. I hope everybody enjoyed the commercial break. We always
They're
like
pretty
to have
inspiring. Those are pretty inspiring commercials.
Although those are my, although people have been represented on Follow the Brand on podcasts, so you can always tune in to all the your past episodes to hear their stories. They're phenomenal. As we are tuning into your story that you are going to continue to tell us about how you got into this business of speaking and telling stories. So go right ahead.
Okay, so my whole life I was doing it, right? I was writing and I was speaking. I mean, I gave my first speech when I was 15 in front of 5,000 adults. I was, I was so excited. I mean, so I've always been kind of like doing that, but why now? So about Thanksgiving of this past year. So, I'm in the business of healthcare and I'm trying to start these. They're value-based contracts where you take a capitation, which is like a monthly, whatever. You take money to manage people's lives.
Real simple. That's right. Let's keep it simple.
And I was working to do it, and then like stuff's changed with the government, and there was delays, and I never had a partner. I got this partner, and I was, like in love with being in love with like having a partner, and then like I didn't have to worry about the money by myself, and I didn't have to wake up about the burn rate by myself, and just sort of all of these like notions, right? We always kind of look at it better on the other side. And I brought in a lot of people that I believed in that trusted me. They came in because they trusted me. And they're like, are we going to get paid? I'm like, absolutely. I like did my due diligence. And I worked for months, 90 hours a week. And all of the money that he owed me and that he owed the people that I brought in, he was going to pay in November. Mm. So there I am in November, and I had to speak. I was speaking in Israel, actually. And so I'm like, I'm not going to go across the world when I haven't paid. None of my team's been paid. So, don't worry. We're going to like send in and pay you. I'm trying to like shorten this up. So it's Thanksgiving and I'm at this cafe in Jerusalem. And my kids are all over the world, like asking me for money. Right. And my team is asking me for money. They're getting ready for the holidays. They want like Christmas money. And I sent him a thing. I'm like, no, nobody's been paid. And he goes, and tax. I'm in breach.
What?
I'm in breach.
Yeah, that's not the words we want to hear.
I mean, in writing. And then he puts in writing, it was always the strategic plan. So what does that mean? So yeah. I then like I call all of my colleagues who have been like CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies and, super, I'm like, this just happened. And then he like made like a new company and he tried to like move the debt to me and keep the assets for himself. Oh. And then hired the person that I had like taken care of through 3 companies and helped pay for a kid's wedding. Like the person that I like, we nurture our team, we take care of our team. And she took all of my IP. She went into my files, right? And she took all my files, like cleaned out. And so first of all, I find out that this is like a predatory thing that people do. That they say, we'll make a new LLC for an opportunity. And if the opportunity works out, we'll make it a C Corp and I'll take all the money. But if it doesn't work out, I'll close down the LLC. It's legal, but it's predatory, right? There's people who are in the startup world, Grant, live on hope. You know, the belief that you do all of this work and it's going to matter, right? To my point of, right, that it's going to have this big outcome, a big exit, a big, like, and there are people who are financially predators on that hope, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm interested to hear what you think, because I have not told this story publicly at all. So, because I worry that I sound like victim-y, which I never ever.
No. This is good information.
Okay. So I'm sitting there at the cafe in Jerusalem with no money, right? I haven't been. And I said, I am so tired of this. What can nobody steal from me? Right?
Yes.
What can nobody steal? And I said, my story is absolutely mine. Yeah. There is no, you know, and I thought about all the years. I said I was going to do the book and I was going to do the show. I always wanted to do a show like you're doing regularly. You know, I've done it on and off. Like, I want to speak. And I said, you know what? This is it. This is the year. This is what I'm doing. And I made a 12-month plan sitting there in the cafe. And I said, first thing I need to do is people need to know legitimately that I'm an expert. Right. So I started showing up a lot of places, speaking, doing a lot of high profile interviews. And now if you Google me, which I do occasionally, Google Gail Zahtz, you'll see, right, pages of authority. And you'll say, yeah, she's a value-based care expert. Right. And then I needed to make appearances and get them videoed and stuff like that. And you see CMDS in New Jersey did the video. They did an amazing job. With the pieces that I'd been kind of collecting over the past 6 months. And because I had done a lot during COVID of these virtual ones.
Yep.
And now, like, you know, website and I've just been getting more and more, and I'm still doing the business side. I'm super excited that I'm back helping to run a new clinically integrated network and do all of the really fun stuff of what I believe in, early prevention and high touch and all of that. And so now I'm getting to walk both together and say, you know what, maybe it's not a simple answer, but this is all of me. And I like doing the business. I like thinking it through. I like how complicated it is. And I like solving the problems. And I like this, you know, and I think of myself kind of less like, I know a lot of people talk when they get up on stage and they talk like they have all the answers and the solutions. I think really I just say, look, this is my story. These are parts of my story. And let's figure this out together. You know, right?
Yeah.
I did this 4-hour workshop with a well-known medical device company. And literally they had $100 million problem. And we walked together for 3 hours. We workshopped through, and at the end, it was beautiful, Grant. I mean, they were like talking to their manager, like in front of everybody, and solving it together and making commitments to each other. Like, I think it's an honor and privilege, right? So
yes, no.
So what do you think? So that's the first time publicly anybody's heard that.
No. First of all, I love the story about, you know, failing forward.
Yes.
Failing forward. You know, you don't just listen to everything that you've said, even to tonight. You don't stop. You're like, you know what? You know, all right, you want my money? You know, I didn't want to give it to you, but it's okay. Right. It's okay. I can always get more money. I can get more money. I can get more things, but there's more to you in this world for you to give. And it has nothing to do with money, but it has a lot to do with integrity. It has a lot to do about some of the things in this world that you cannot buy.
Yeah.
Like you said, my story. You can't just go out there and then just, you know, buy my story, take my story, copy my story. You didn't live this. You have no idea what the emotional struggle that it would take to get through all these. I look at you, you are a superwoman. You have powers you probably don't even realize, because when you go through things like that, you develop muscles that you would never have had before.
So I'm so glad you said that. Can I interrupt for 1 second? So people ask me that. They're like, what do you want the audience is like, what do you want them to walk away with? Right? Like when, and I said, here's what it is. It's right on what you said. I said, I believe truly that every one of us has a superpower, like truly, that we have something amazing that we can do, like a time when we are just better than, and here's what happens. Life that is hard and I can just like, it just kind of pounds it down, right? And so it gets buried in all the garbage, right? The people who've hurt us and the losses and the grief and the missed opportunities. I want people to walk away and say, you know what? I'm going to dust it off. I'm going to try one more time to use my superpower. That's what I want to give people.
I no, that's beautiful. I don't know. I was on YouTube. I was watching YouTube and I just got to watching the program. And then another one came on and it was sounding pretty good. And I was listening to it. And it was just about a woman who became, I think she won Miss USA or something to that effect. And she told her story, how she got started doing that she was just working in a store. Somebody came up to her, told her that she was beautiful, asked her a few questions, and she didn't really know how to answer. She said, I really think you could be Miss USA. That's what she said right then and there. It's like, wow, somebody really believed in me in that. So she went through the process of going through the pageants and everything that you have to do. First time she went, well, she did it and she lost. And then she, well, this first time as a rookie. She went ahead, she did it again for the next year. She lost. And she said, well, what do I have to change? What do I have to do? She went back again, third time, she lost.
Right.
Then I'm going back in and went fourth time, lost. You think, all right.
I love this. I want to meet this person. This is like totally like a
pulled out all the stops and said, no, I know I've done this 4 times. This is the 5th time. I am ready. I got this.
And she got up again.
She got up there again. She went up there. She did the whole 9. It was a great presentation. And she lost. I said, oh my God, she lost. And she said, yes, I lost. But then I went back another year. 6 years. 6 years. She went back. And then she won. And this was just for a local pageant. And then she won for the state pageant. And then she won Miss USA. That's a true story. But at what point would most people have stopped? If you know what, I'm never going to be, I'm not Miss USA.
Right? Because remember my number 1, show up. People stop showing up.
Yeah.
They say, oh, I did it. I tried, and remember another point that I made, which is that the joy, the power, the meaning, everything is in the journey.
Yeah.
So I would love to know the person who came that 3rd time and lost. I bet she was a superhero. That, you know what I mean? Like those moments that matter, right? The showing up. I think we get so focused on some big result change. I mean, I sometimes wonder if LinkedIn and Twitter, and which I'm on all of it, they just feed this sort of fake envy, of a great win. And we forget that every single person, regardless of the title, regardless of how much money in the bag, has to get up and show up. That we're all doing it. And we all have days where it looks crazy and awful and it's painful. And you know what it is? It's messy, right? It's messy. Everybody wants to give me. Everybody wants me to have one thing. They're like, what's your thing, Gail? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, your line, your ask, your thing. I'm like, I don't know. I have many things. I want to do many things. So, at the end, mine is all just I don't know. I think my only thing that I can be consistent about is saying, I just want us in this moment to have the most important moment, right? This is it. I know it's not fancy.
No. That's
my
that's
thing.
A great goal. You want to be, I'm going to give you my best self, Grant. And then Grant, all I'm asking you is that you bring your best self to this moment, and that our audience that tunes in, that they bring their best self. They listen in, they understand, because this is about that the individual. That's what personal branding is about. That's what Follow the Brand is about, the person. That's about you. That's what I've always said, is your uniqueness and how you use your uniqueness in the service for others. So before we move on, we got another commercial that we're going to go to. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some things that you're doing. All right?
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
It's fine.
5-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaugh, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-Star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaugh explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
All right. All right. So we are back. I know you've got some things that are coming up. I want people to understand that you have been a healthcare expert on policies, what's coming through from a what they call CMS perspective. You're going to be at HIMSS Integrate in South Florida.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. That's going to be November 17th in South Florida. You're going to do a keynote for us, and you're going to tell us some things that are going to be helpful. So tell us what you got going on, Gail.
Yeah, no, I mean, so what I do in my other life, right, is the business of healthcare and in value-based care, which is how do we flip the financials to make it profitable and also improve outcomes, improve experience, and save money, right? Because we spend way too much on healthcare. And you find, how do you make innovation, right? This is why I'm so excited about HIMSS. There's so many like super innovative success, right? It's not a lack of innovation. There's so many interesting things that really passionate, smart people are doing. But in addition to just being fun and cool, right, the real meaning is when you get it in the hands of consumers, right? Whether that consumer is a physician or a patient or, and in order to do that, you have to be able to fund it. Somebody has to pay for it, right? And the reality is that this health system that we're talking about is so complicated that most people don't know how to be able to capture the funding in order to bring really critical innovations to market. We've had telehealth for years and years and years, but nobody would pay for it. Our government would not pay for it. Our payers would not pay for it. Our insurance companies. It wasn't until COVID happened and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services issued 8,000 waivers that said in a month, which was amazing, that said, we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for a telehealth visit because we're in a public emergency. right? So obviously we don't want to wait till public emergencies. What we want to do is say, look, there is a lot of money for innovation, for great things, for people who want to change the system. How do we access it, and how do we understand what's happening often behind closed doors in particularly in DC, and how that impacts all the way to the day. And that's what I really love doing, which I'm so excited to be able to do at HIMSS, is we're really gonna work together, right? And say, look, how can we take what's happening? Because I got to tell you, a lot has happened in this very quiet summer. A lot has happened in Washington, D.C. that will affect healthcare innovation for at least a decade. So I like being able to unravel that together with people, so that they can walk away with something and say, you know what, that it wasn't just inspirational. This actually gave me something that I can take back to my business today, in order for us to get this really important solution, whatever it is, into the hands of the people who will benefit the most from it. So I'm really excited. Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for you. We cannot wait to have you. It's going to be very, very good. If anybody wants to know about HIMSS South Florida, they can go to our website. That's going to be at, I believe it's himsouthflorida.org or something to that effect. Or you can Google HIMSS South Florida chapter.
Or you can Google either one of us. We'll be there.
Either one of us. Integrate. We've done it for 11 years.
Wow.
And this year we really wanted to focus on our why. Why are we doing this? What's important? What problem are we solving as chapter? What are we trying to accomplish here? So we came up with unlocking healthcare delivery with technology insights. And you are going to be our keynote speaker to begin unlocking it, because you've lived it on so many levels. You're just not talking the talk. You have walked the walk. You have been in so many different areas of the healthcare ecosystem that you can actually speak truth to power. Let's speak truth to power together in November. What do you think about that?
That makes us all more powerful.
Yes, it does.
Right?
Yes, it does. Now, before we leave, we got only a couple of minutes here. Just a minute.
Went so fast. This went so fast.
Oh yeah, it goes real quick. But I want them to know how to contact you. What is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
I'll tell you, the easiest way is LinkedIn and Twitter. Gail Zahtz, GailZahtz. I'm at that on both. It's really, I'm on them all the time, 6 days a week anyway. So you can. I'm definitely not hard to find, and I respond always. I respond to every private message. And reach out anytime.
Well, I love that. So reach out to Gail. Look at her story. She's got a lot of content out there. Read through it and take a look at it's like, okay, I know everybody. And I told this to an audience about a week or two ago. I said, I don't know anybody on earth that has not gone through some type of peril in their lives, and that you've gotten through that challenge. And when you've done that, you have a story. You have a story that needs to be shared and brought forth to others in whatever form that's going to look like, because somebody else is going to have to go through something somewhat similar. So you hear that. And so I love your story around, especially how do you live with a deadly disease? A lot of people say, like, you know what, it's a wrap. It's over. How many people we know are going through cancer, or they're going through COVID, they're going through some other type of thing. How do you live with that, go through that? And this wasn't like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to go around the corner. I'm going to order some, a solution, and this is good. Here's my cure, and I come back home and it's over. No, this is a 2, 3, 4, 5 year journey. And you've done that. So I applaud you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you. And I'll tell you one last thing, that you never know what's going to happen when you take the courage to do that, right? I gave this very quick 10-minute speech in Miami recently. And I literally just mentioned and I came from domestic violence. Literally, I didn't talk about it at all. And I got a DM from a woman that night who told me she heard my speech. She packed her bags and she left a really dangerous, violent relationship. obviously it wasn't me. It was right. It was her time. She heard whatever it was, but maybe me opening my mouth. Who knows?
Gave her the courage.
Right. So if we show up and we're authentic, that is the work. Right.
I thank you, Gail. This has been wonderful. Thank you for being on the show. I tell everybody they can contact me at www.5starbdm, and that's B for brand, D for development, infomasters.com. So good night, Gail. This has been wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, Mark, are you still out there?
Are we still live?
We're backstage, right? This is
we're in the overtime. Start talking. Okay, audience.
Yeah, we're in the overtime. This is wonderful. She's like, this is riveting. I want more.
Well, we can talk. I can talk about whatever you want. We can, we're not talking for the audience.
We did talk about now. Are you in New York right now?
I am in New York. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you grow up in New York or no?
No, I grew up in Philadelphia. So
wow. Brotherly love, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've been all over. I've been in Virginia and Minnesota, all over. So I'm not really from anywhere.
Let me ask you this: do your kids find encouragement through your story? Do they? I mean, how do they react to you right now?
So it's a great question. So they don't love hearing all of it again sometimes, right? Because I don't talk about certain things that they've asked me not to talk about, right? But my trauma, it's their trauma also, right? Yeah. But I'll tell you, while I was talking to you, right, and my kids watch the shows when they choose to and that sort of thing, I got a message from one of my kids that said that there's a woman at the supermarket who doesn't have somewhere to sleep tonight. Can she bring her home?
Oh, okay.
Meaning, I'm not going to get into like whether that's like I'm just saying that they take from the story and from their lived experience and they see positivity and hope, like they see, how do we help each other? How do we give to each other? And they've had a ton of their own traumas with this, right? Like, where were they when I was in the nursing home dying? I'm a single mom. They can't see their biological father, right? Because he tried to kill them. So, like, obviously they were somewhere that was not home with me, So my son actually is starting to speak. He's like starting to give some talks, which is super interesting.
We're going to save some of that because you just got a great story. So we're going to kick it back to Mark. He's going to go ahead and sign us off. But I'll tell you, Gail, this has been a wonderful episode. I'm so glad you brought your audience and your network to this. It'll be recorded. They'll be able to see the replays on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Roku, on Pod TV, a lot of other stations that were streamed on. So I definitely appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I am Black business. From the moment I wake until the time I sleep, I am Black business. I am Black business. Are you Black business? I am Black business. Do you support Black businesses? I support Black business because I am Black business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black business in the world. Sign up today at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-308-9090. I am Black business.
The Black Business Expo's mission is to raise funds for high school seniors going to college or K-12 entrepreneurs. This expo is a fundraiser for students. Please, you may go to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com to donate to the scholarship fund or use the Cash App at $BBXUSA. Our goal is to give laptops and up to $5,000 to 10 students. Students can register online at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com. Every dollar counts. Please donate to the Black Business Expo USA Scholarship Fund. Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius.